All right. Episode 7. Welcome, everybody. This is Shared Chapters with Sarah.
And Emily.
What
Emily,
up?
it's been a while.
Yes, we've gone through some stuff, y'all, that we aren't going to get into.
So today we're going to talk about Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. Woohoo. So I just also completed ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and
Hmm.
Roses, since I'm going in published date order. I didn't want to go further than that because I know that I would forget everything
Hmm.
in these past books. Like, you couldn't even ask me what
Oh my
happened
God.
in Crown of Midnight. There's no way I could tell
I
you.
know. There's just so much.
Yeah, there's no way. So I completed ACOTAR, and before that, I completed Heir of Fire. So we'll talk about A Court of Thorns and Roses after Heir of Fire. So that's where I'm at. And this episode might get a little bit crazy because the parallels between all the worlds are crazy.
Cray, cray. Hey, spoilers, everybody.
Yeah, spoiler alert. So I figured I would just read the back book synopsis off of Heir of Fire to give a kind of a refresher about what
Yep.
the book is about. All right. Selena Sardothian has survived deadly contest and shattering heartbreak, but now she must travel to a new land to confront her darkest truth. That truth could change her life and her future forever. Meanwhile, monstrous forces are gathering on the horizon, intent on enslaving her world. To defeat them, Selena will need the strength not only to fight the evil that is about to be unleashed, but also to harness her inner demons. If she is to win this battle, she must find the courage to face her destiny and burn brighter than ever before. Boom, boom,
Burn, baby,
boom.
burn.
I have to ask, I was going to ask, what would you rate this book?
Oh, this is a 5 out of 5.
But why?
It is such a turning point,
Yeah.
right? This is a pivotal book. And it's kind of crazy because you're only 3 books in
Yeah.
when this becomes a pivotal point, right?
Four,
But
including the novellas, I suppose.
yes, that's true. Sorry. 3.5. You see a very different side of Selena slash Aelin. Spoiler, everyone knows this.
I'm
They
just
have
calling
to
her
know this
Aelin
by
now.
now.
Like,
Are you? Okay.
yeah.
And I just want to
If,
refer to her as that too. So, anyway, it's such a pivotal point for her in her character development. She has gone through a lot of traumatic experience in Crown of Midnight at the very end with her, Nahima dying,
mhm,
then getting sent off to Wendelin to assassinate the royals, and she's off in this like completely new place. So it's definitely the the main character goes on their like epic journey, kind of discover who they are, and
themselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically. I think she goes through a lot of learning points and growing points, is kind of inwardly seeing all of her pain. Like instead of ignoring it, she's seeing it and it's like coming out of her kind of uncontrollably.
Yeah.
When I read it, it was during kind of a obviously not so dramatic, but in a pivotal time in my life
Hmm.
too. So I think I hit it at the right time to where it really spoke to me on those levels. There were some things that she was feeling that I was like, oh, I actually have felt that way before, or wow, I'm feeling that right now.
Hmm.
It was a book that definitely meant a lot and more than I thought it was going to. Looking back on it, it's definitely the one that I think about the most. If anybody ever asks me, I'm always like Heir of Fire. Absolutely.
Well, I
You
rated it
want
a 5.
Did you? Okay.
Just,
What did you like about it?
I just really like this one because it is that turning point, and I really liked that they had multiple POVs because I was like,
Did you? Okay.
how are we gonna get through the rest of the series
Yeah.
without it getting stale just coming from her? Also, they've split up,
Yes.
so I was not positive on how she was gonna continue.
Yeah. I was going to ask how you felt flipping back and forth between basically 3 different stories.
Those are my favorite kind of books to read.
Okay.
A lot of the other fantasy books that I read all have multiple POVs. I like that
Hmm.
because you're not guessing how they're feeling. You get to know more of them. And I think you just like the characters more. because they're more relatable and you know what they're thinking.
My confession is when I read this book for the first time and she introduced Manon, I was like, I could give a fuck less. I was like, get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here.
Yeah.
And actually the same thing with Dorian and Kale, because I was like, you guys messed up already and you're gonna just continue to mess up. So I don't care. That's definitely actually one of the books that I've reread the most as well, because I love it so much. And so going back and actually reading those storylines, I was like, oh, this was a very important like world building
Yeah.
avenue, because shit just doesn't happen out of nowhere, you
Yeah.
know.
I wasn't a big fan of Manon's storyline. It's
Hmm.
very boring until like
Yeah.
the end of it when she kind of had that arc of, oh, I do have a heart.
Yeah. Right.
That kind of thing. But it
It,
was a little bit slow.
I mean, you're starting from scratch, learning about these new characters and stuff. So that's always going to be definitely a task. But I also felt that Moss wrote it very dry, because I think Manon is dry. And so that's how I have always read it. Like as soon as she enters the scene, kind of like a flip of the switch, and you're
Yeah.
not. So when I think of Aelin, I think of,
Dramatics
really
and
dramatic, really like,
yeah.
yes, absolutely. But when I think of Manon, I think of calm, cool, and collected, and sarcasm, like
Yeah.
very dry humor.
Yeah.
So did you, do you like Aiden?
I thought he was okay. I knew that he was also good. I
Yeah,
know that they're whatever.
right.
I didn't really at first. I kind of just think he's kind of annoying a little
Yeah.
bit. He's just kind of like a meathead.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, I
that's the kind of
totally.
vibe that I get from him. He's
Hmm.
fine. I don't dislike him, but he's not my favorite. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
I am interested to see how your opinion develops of him over time.
I think he's just macho man. I have to
Yeah.
protect her. I have to fulfill my destiny. I was gonna say that there was points in this book that I freaked out and my nose started prickling and my eyes were watering because I was
Yes.
like,
Yes. That's the best
yeah.
feeling. I love that. Do you have any that you want to talk about at all?
I highlighted. I think this is the
So
most I've ever
much.
highlighted
Hmm.
out of foreshadowing because that's I think it's a turning point, like you said,
Yeah.
and character moments where I was like,
Hmm. Hmm.
especially with Kale. I will say that.
Really?
Yeah, there was a couple moments
Okay.
where I was like, finally, you idiot.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
And it was the classic whiplash at the end. The
I
last scene
know.
with Dorian and Kale and Aiden, I was like, huh, wait, wait, wait. That was insane. I know kind of what happens. Obviously, now, like he has one of those collars on that the Blag
Yes.
have on
Hmm.
to get controlled by his dad. And I knew that his dad knew. His dad knows.
Yeah.
There's no hiding what they're all doing. He's just
Yeah.
waiting. I think that the king of Indarlin, the king knew who Selena was,
Oh,
kind of.
keep your enemies close is
Keep
what
your
you're
enemies
saying.
close.
Yeah.
Oh, my son's an idiot. He's going to get
Hmm.
attached to her. Oh, my captain of the guard is also getting quite attached to this girl. We're going to make sure that she comes back
Yeah.
and make sure that she has an attachment to this castle before I kill her.
Right.
I think he just knew the entire time. So going back to Heir of Fire, when she was explaining how she ended up in the river, finally, when they finally
Hmm.
explained how she
Hmm.
was sent with a Robin, whatever. Because all we've been learning about is when he found me in the river.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, are we gonna get any kind of backstory of how that night went down or not?
Yeah. And you go through that
Yeah,
scene.
finally,
Right.
because like you said, she's on the journey and she finally stopped running and stopped being a coward.
Yep.
Finally, in this book. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because it's
Hmm.
so, I mean, she is a victim. She is a victim.
Yes. Let's not get
Aelin
it
is a
twisted,
victim.
right? Like
However,
her whole people got murked.
yeah, she is a
So,
victim of many people.
yeah.
But like Nehemia said, you're running from it. You're a coward.
Yeah.
And now that she's finally not,
Right.
I'm like, thank God.
obviously we get introduced to Sorsha.
R.I.P.
Yeah, her head got cut off.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, what do you think her purpose was as a character? Because I'm thinking about it now, and she was a side love interest because Dorian really hadn't had anybody that he was interested in since Aelin.
Yeah.
But I also think because he didn't really develop in this book, his magic was developing, but like him as a person wasn't. And so I don't really know if she added any depth to his situation, honestly. That's how I feel looking back.
Yeah. I liked Sorsha. And at the end, it talks about like, oh, there's a spy in this room, and that's why they all
Mm-hmm.
got brought in. And everyone is thinking Aiden,
Yeah.
but Sorsha said that she was sending letters outside of the castle, not
Yeah.
about Dorian, well, even about Dorian.
Right.
So like she was also a spy. I think she's just another. She's like Nehemia was Aelin's emotional
Mm-hmm.
warfare.
Yeah.
Sorsha is going to be Dorian's,
Yeah.
kind of, But I think that was his like, I
Trauma.
lost her.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is bigger than I. My dad is worse than I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have used his magic if she didn't get killed. He had to show the magic to the king at some point for another story to develop through it.
Yeah, like he wasn't expecting in that scene she gets beheaded
Yeah.
and brutally as soon as they turn their weapons on Kale,
Mm-hmm.
that's when he like explodes.
Yeah.
So I do think you're right. Like it was just kind of a stepping stone that needed to have the plot continue to move.
In chapter 24, Mort was mentioned again.
Mm-hmm.
The bronze knocker
Bronze
down.
bitch.
Yeah. But he did not speak to Kale, even with the Eye of Elena on his neck.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed that. And then I think my favorite part, one of my favorite parts of this book, like at least in the top 5, is when Kale grabbed Fleetfoot,
Oh,
went to the
yeah.
door, and told Mort to tell Selena what's going on and what happened and where he is if she ever came back. That I just loved that. I don't know
I
why, because I
know. I
liked
have
Mort.
chills.
Yeah, I just loved that part because I was like, yes, Kale. Yes, please do that. That's what you needed to do. I don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of like him accepting
Yeah.
that like this is what's happening in the world
Yeah.
and that magic is here and it's the king is messing with it and all this kind of stuff. So I feel like that moment right there where he is facing something that I think he honestly fears, but I do think that's a point where he's like, okay, I this is it. This is the next step.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I actually have that down. Cole flees, and there's a final scene with Mort.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you think that we'll ever see him again? Because, and this is a spoiler, he does not come back.
I've been looking for it, like with my other
Mm-hmm.
books and stuff. The one book that I read, my other books. I don't know. I'm interested to see if I read through it and I pick it up, like just a nod to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. If I missed something,
Yeah. Who
I would be
knows?
so interested to see if he found anything.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, I mean, you can't really bring back Sorsha because she's dead, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like there's so many ample opportunities because there's such big worlds at this point to give another nod to a character or you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just something like that that's going to make people who've been paying attention go, "Ah."
What did you think of Rowan? Not knowing what happens with them.
Yeah, so that's a tough one because like obviously I have
You know
like my
everything.
biased view now and I'm trying to think of what my reaction was to him. I think I did like him though. I being people are being pretty analytical now. I saw a video where they were pointing out red flags of Rowan.
He's
Like
an
he punched
asshole.
her in the face. Yeah, yeah. Like he physically punched her in the face.
Yeah.
It's pretty much threatening her and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think I saw it for like, oh, he's just being a dick. I think I ignored that maybe, or maybe just didn't, that's just not like what was in my head. But when you started to really learn about why he was basically acting the way he was acting with his wife
Mm-hmm.
or mate, not wife. Well, I guess wife too.
Both.
Like being pregnant and getting killed and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I could also understand why you'd probably be an asshole for the rest of your life.
I guess.
So do you like him now that they have like reconciled and that like obviously he's part of her court, you
Yeah.
know?
Obviously, I kind of like I know what happens, like whatever.
Yeah.
But I liked him. He definitely. I was like, holy crap, he is a
Rough.
major jerk.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of blew my mind. A couple of the spots, I was like, okay, like he said, maybe it would have been better for the world if you actually did die 10 years ago. I was like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
all right, that's a lot. That's a lot.
There's a
Um,
scene that really sticks out with me that I refer back to as my favorite part of the book all the time is when she walks in on them. They're kind of like building a friendship,
mhm.
sort of.
Yeah, she
And
was
she,
so funny. She'd like go to the door and be like, "Do I go in?"
yeah, yeah. And she walked in on him giving that tattoo to that other Fey soldier or whatever.
Yeah,
And
gravel,
he like
Garvel,
pretty much, no, oh, maybe it was. I think you
or
might be right.
Fenris. I don't remember which one it is.
Mm, I think it was Gabriel. Gabriel.
Oh, I said gravel.
Yeah, it's gravel. And he like blew up on her. There's the line is and that fire that was slowly flickering inside her went out.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, that is such a scene that will resonate with so many people.
Hmm.
Everyone has felt forgotten in some way, or everyone has felt like lost. And when he basically took her down to ground level, underground level, soil level,
He humbled her.
um, yeah, yeah, emotionally, I think, whoa, that was really strong, really strong.
Yeah. Well, that's like I've always thought that Aelin or Selena has been cocky.
Yes,
Like she's
I
sits on her
definitely
high
agree.
horse a lot of the time, and she stays up there till it's too late. You
Yes.
know.
Hmm.
So I liked Rowan for him just getting in her face too. He's like, "You want to be like that? I'll be like that too."
Well, I think people forget that she's absolutely just as vicious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's why they're together.
Yeah.
That is why they're what's the when they cut open their hands? Cararnum.
Camaraderie.
Yeah. Cararnum, or however
Something like
that's
that. Yeah.
pronounced. Obviously, they're twin flames,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. There was a moment that I highlighted, and it was when Rowan asked Aelin if her lover knew what she was, referring to Kale.
Hmm.
And he said he wouldn't be biting her again because it's wrong to bite another male's partner.
Yeah.
And I wrote, "LOL, you like her, you bitch." Like
Yes.
there's so many moments that I'm like,
Yeah,
softy.
exactly. When he's like, you're not sleeping anywhere else. Okay.
Okay. Well, he did. There was another thing. I on chapter 41, Rowan did the classic. Who did this to you when he saw
Oh,
her
yes.
scars?
Uh-huh.
I thought,
Yeah. So fire is obviously Aylin's magic.
yeah,
What do you feel about that choice? Do you think that's fitting for like who she is as a character?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
So right now, Dorian's is manifesting as ice.
Yeah.
Do you think that says anything about his character?
So to me, fire is very much like out in the open and crazy
Hmm.
and it can be wild and unexpected and not planned.
Yeah.
Ice to me is a more reserved. When I
Hmm.
think ice, I think reserved,
Yeah.
cool, reserved,
Slowly
slow.
develops. Hmm.
Yes, it takes time, not
Yeah.
like fire where it just. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
very Aelin. And then
Yeah.
Dorian is very like, we're gonna step back here for a second.
Let's evaluate. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just interested because I really hope that we learn more about Dorian's ancestors and then also Aelin's ancestors and kind of how they work
Hmm.
together when they were Fae, because obviously he has magic, so he has some kind of something in him.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, there's a theory that when the time comes, I'll be able to share it with you, unless
Okay.
you've already seen it, but we won't get into it.
Oh, what did you think of Maeve right now? I
Yeah.
know that
That's
she
when,
goes up again.
yeah. So when I was first introduced to Maeve was actually when I started trying to find parallels in the books with mythology. Queen Maeve is Queen of the Fae in mythology. So that's when I was like, oh, these are like pretty cool, things that, maybe is inspiring Sarah, and maybe she's twisting the stories, kind of how Akatar is what, Sleeping Beauty or Cinderella?
Cinderella's Throne of Glass.
Yes.
Akatar's, I think it's Belle,
Oh, yeah.
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. Sorry, sorry, so sorry.
No, it's fine.
But, there's so many things that are correlating. And when you think about it, like even those stories are probably correlating to mythologies of the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that's when I was like, oh, okay, what does this word mean? If it's italicized, can I put it into Google Translate? Does it mean something? That sort of thing.
right.
That's when I really started analyzing. It's when I started analyzing the books more.
Okay,
So yeah, when Queen Maeve popped up, I was like, oh, this goes much deeper than just a thought. There
right.
was research put into this.
Well, going into analyzing, there are a few things that I highlighted for foreshadowing because I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
picking up on if she writes something specific, it's going to mean something.
Yeah.
So in chapter 1,
Woohoo.
you'll know who it is, obviously, but at the time, before you know who it is, you wouldn't think anything of it. Other birds keep well away from the white-tailed hawk that has been perched atop a nearby chimney all morning.
Yeah.
So obviously that's Rowan when she was
Yep.
drunk and dirty on the rooftops.
Yeah. Because the cadre, their Fae have shape shifting powers, and it's usually animals. Like Maeve's, I think, is an owl.
Yes, and they
Yeah.
do a nod to it at the end that I also highlighted.
What's your other foreshadow?
So with the other foreshadowing, I don't know if it relates to Akatar and Crescent City.
Oh, okay.
It's either that or it's about her bloodlines.
Oh,
That's what I'm
okay.
getting at.
Okay.
So in chapter 11, Selena was looking in the kitchen there with Luca and Emery's,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and there's a big hearth, and it has thing of ancient stones and carved with symbols and odd faces. Even the post of the brazier had been fashioned into standing figures and displayed atop a thin mantle was a set of 9 iron figurines, gods and goddesses.
Mm.
And it says Selena quickly looked away from the 2 females in the center, one crowned with a star and armed with a bow and quiver, the other bearing a polished bronze disc upheld between her raised hands. She could have sworn she felt them watching
I'm
her.
getting teary-eyed.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was like,
And I'm
well,
not telling you
who
anything.
has will have stars and a bow and a quiver other than Feyre? And then I
I
also looked up what?
I cannot.
Don't say anything if
It's not.
it's not about Crescent City and Feyre.
Oh no, that's not what I thought you were asking.
Oh,
So I'm
well,
shutting my mouth.
I was
Oh
just
my
looking at.
god, that goes so deep. That's so
Really? Okay.
oh
Well, I looked on
my
Crescent City
god.
on like a character art, and I noticed that Bryce has a necklace of like bronze rings. So I don't know. I was like, that's kind of crazy. And she was also
But
writing Heir of
it's
Fire and Akatar at the same time.
yeah, but it's not what you think.
Okay. So
That's
it's
all I'm
not,
saying.
but yeah. So that was like
That's
one
such a
thing.
deep cut. Wow.
Really?
I'm I have like full body chills.
That's cool. Well, I'm excited to know what it
Wow,
means.
that's crazy. That's crazy that she was thinking that far ahead. That's amazing.
Okay. Well,
Anyway,
yeah. So in chapter 52, when she had that sword from Anthril or Brennan, the Maeve's
yes. Hmm.
guy, mentioning of the Goldrin, that's what they're the sword, that's what it's
Yeah.
called. one of the flags said, well, you're not Anthril, and you're not the descendant of Brennan of Wildfire, or whatever the heck, whatever.
Yeah.
But one of the flags said, a realm of eternal dark and ice and wind, he said, and we have been waiting a very, very long time to taste your sunshine again. I was like, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But in chapter 54, is I don't, this is again one of those things where I'm like, it relates with the figurines that she saw. The
Okay.
amulet of Orinth, the heirloom honored above all others of their house. Its a round disc was the size of her palm, and on its cerulean front a white stag had been carved of horn, horn gifted from the lord of the forest. Between his curling antlers was a burning crown of gold, the immortal star that watched over them and pointed the way home to Terrason. So it mentions the ring and it mentions the star.
Yeah.
But yeah,
God, I can't. Oh my God, I cannot wait for you
is it in
to
just Throne
get.
of Glass or is it connected?
I can't tell you.
Yeah. I'm gonna look it up.
No, don't, please. Okay. All right. Do you want to hear just a little bit?
No.
I'm not gonna go into story specifics, but I will let you know how much you have to wait.
No,
Okay.
I don't want to
Okay.
know
All right.
because I want to be right, but you're making me feel like
Oh,
I'm not.
I just cannot wait for your
I
journey.
read that and I was like, that's
Yeah,
something.
crazy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
Okay.
crazy.
That's all the foreshadowing kind of situations that I saw. And
Mm-hmm.
then another thing that there's a million things that are related in A Court of Thorns and Roses that are parallels within Throne of Glass.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm reading it this way so I can get all the goodies because they
Juicies.
are so connected. So, chapter 40, Dorian and Sorsha were talking.
Oh,
And whenever they were in his room or down, with her or whatever,
yeah.
she tried to refuse those, but he'd worn her down quickly, mostly by kissing away her protests. And if I asked for the moon on a string, then I would start praying to Deanna. That's Sorsha saying that to Rowan. If
Mm-hmm.
I asked for a moon on the string. And
Dorian.
I just said that
To Dorian. You
to
said
Dorian.
Rowan, though.
No. Sorsha said, and if I asked for a moon on a string, to Dorian, who also says it. Mr. Lucian says it to Feyre
Hmm.
in here, kind of
Dun,
making fun of
dun,
her.
dun.
And I'm like, wow, that's super crazy how they're all connected. And I cannot wait to talk more about
Yes.
everything that's connected.
I'm so excited to hear all those because I feel like I'm going to freak like I did just previously.
I think you will. Yeah, there's a lot of parallels and it's insane. And we'll talk about it more in a different episode. But do you have any more
Yes.
questions for me based on Heir of Fire?
We haven't really gone into like the witch like story besides obviously mentioning Manon and her
Yeah.
crew, which I think her crew is badass. I love
Well,
her
yeah, I know that they're
13. How did you feel about the scene when the witches were choosing their, how do you pronounce it? Wyvern?
wyvern,
Wyvern?
wyvern.
I thought it was interesting that they were almost, it reminded me of like dog
Yeah,
fighting, like
I
everybody
didn't
going
like it.
into a ring. And I know it was so stressful.
Yeah. As soon as they brought up the smaller one, I knew she was
Mm-hmm.
going to pick
Yeah.
Embraxro,
Abraxas.
Abraxas, however you say his name. I knew she
Yeah.
was going to pick him. I was like, she's going to pick the underdog and no one's going to expect anything out of
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
Those two are very fun. Like
Yeah.
that's a fun relationship. And you'll see that develop too. I'm excited for you to get through some of the next few books because I feel like number one, I think because you're doing it and like analyzing it, and I haven't in such a long time, I think it'll be really fun for me to be like, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
Yeah. Akatar, I felt like it took me a long time to read it. It didn't.
Yeah.
It took me a couple days once I finally got started. I felt like it was taking me forever
Yeah.
because every single page I was like, tabbing that,
Mm-hmm.
tabbing that. All right, well, that was kind of Throne of Glass talk mixed with whole Sarah J. Maas
Yeah.
talk. I definitely liked Heir of Fire. There was a lot of things that went on, but it was just to progress the story. It was very much like world building and character
Mhm.
development. I feel like there wasn't a lot of like crazy hard hitting moments, obviously until the end.
Yeah.
But
Is there anybody, this last question.
okay.
Is there anybody that you are really excited to get more information about or learn more of? I know you said Dorian and his family line you're
Yeah.
interested in.
Obviously I'm interested in learning more about Aelin,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm scared for Dorian's storyline in this next book because it's going to be crazy
Yeah.
now that he's under the control of his dad. But Kale,
Yeah.
because he just ran.
Yep.
And I'm like, where are you even going? Because you're supposed to go with your dad, and I don't think you're gonna go there. So
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to this next book because shit hit the fan hardcore at the end. And so Aylin's story ended kind of nicely. You know what I mean? Like
Yes. Yeah.
that was like the one who ended in a more calm manner.
Yeah. Like, okay, now I have a plan and I'm
Yeah,
going
now I have
back.
a plan and I'm gonna go back. And my name is Aelin Ashriver Galathinius, and I am the true heir of Terrason.
Yeah.
Da 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 da. The boys are like going through it right now. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. And I do want to learn more about Elena and Brennan and the older stuff too.
I
Just
can't
because,
wait for that.
yeah, we keep getting, hints of it. And I'm like, but
I
why
know.
is she, they're related, obviously.
I have chills right now and I can't tell you why.
It's fine. You don't have to. I'll figure it out.
I'm just gonna tell it to Nick. He's gonna be like,
I
okay.
don't know what that means. Excited for the next one. Now that I'm done with
Yep.
Akatar, I'll be moving on
Yep.
to Queen of Shadows.
That one's good.
Yep, I'm excited about that
Um,
one too. But okay, so what are you reading currently?
don't be mad at me. I'm reading The Familiar.
Whatever.
I'm like on chapter 13. I'm taking it really slow. It's like when I sit outside. What are
I'm
you
currently
reading?
reading One Dark Window
Oh.
by Rachel Gillig,
Hmm.
and I'm also reading The Crimson Moth slash Heartless Hunter. Crimson Moth is the UK title, and Heartless
Mm,
Hunter is the US title. I really like it
okay.
so far. It's good.
Really?
Yeah, I
Cool.
like it's on Kindle Unlimited. They just put it on. That's
Okay.
why I was like reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading those two right now, and they're pretty good. I feel like they're like the same vibe.
Oh, okay.
So I've been kind of going back and forth, and then I get a little bit confused
That's
because it's
funny.
definitely like same kind of world, sort of.
Okay.
But I like both of the writing a lot.
Other book news, Rebecca
My,
Yaros put out her picture of a draft, and I say, send us the drafts and
uh,
we'll tell you how it
oh
is.
my gosh, I cannot wait. When you were talking about like the Norse mythology and like your theory, I was like, I can't wait for this next book to see
I
if
know.
my theory
Your theory.
was
Hmm.
correct or not. I don't think it
Yeah.
is, but I'm like, I'm just so
I don't know. There's
interested
too
to
many
see.
parallels, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the
Yeah.
thing. There's like so many different parallels, but you could probably put it to a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
So,
But all right.
okay.
Well, follow us on all the social media at shared.chapters. We're on TikTok and Instagram and Threads and
Not Facebook.
not Facebook, YouTube,
Yep.
and
And then we're on Spotify. That's where we have the podcast
yep,
usually, but it's also linked to Amazon Music. You can listen to it on YouTube as well.
yep. That's about it.
Yep. So, thanks everyone. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Happy birthday, Grandma.
Happy birthday, Grandma.
Miss you, love you.
Bye.